see, I'll practice here a little bit.
If you could all move back.
Okay.
There's some waters under there too.
Wow. Here, I'll tell you what. Take it and clear it.
I can hold it if you want to. You want to wait and see how everybody else is looking? They're not pretty hot. Yeah.
Maybe it's quicker.
They're coming. Vice President's taking his time.
I don't know. I mean, I used to shoot down those stairs.
Is that?
I used to shoot down those stairs.
That you did.
I just figured the important meeting would be here right now, the three of the four of us,
Got a live mic
so
there.
that we can
Wow.
Got a live mic there. a minute. He got a lot of spots left.
Tell
Hello,
you, Mr.
everybody.
Majority Leader. I hug you.
You bet.
Thank you for everything you do. You okay, sir? Kind of hot.
Well, we've been waiting a half hour.
Oh,
Have you really been out here half hour? Oh, wow.
God. Mr. Majority
They
Leader.
had us up.
I'm retiring with you. It'll be a good year for retirement. I want to thank you for
A lot of us have been here for a half hour.
I'll tell you later. Can you believe that?
Comfortable way. Comfortable way. It's great.
I guess it's afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. House Democrats are honored to be joined by our outstanding Vice President of the United States, Joe Biden, and the Senate Democratic leader, Harry Reid, joined by our colleagues in the United States Senate, the Democrats of the Senate. Welcome to the House side. Today we stand on the steps of the Capitol, a place where the American people expect and deserve us to make progress in their lives. After one of the longest recesses in modern history, Congress has returned. Instead of getting the job done to meet the needs of the American people, Republicans are wasting time with bills that are going nowhere. As members of Congress, we swear a solemn oath to support the Constitution and protect the American people. That's why Democrats have put forward a new American security agenda, securing our nation, securing our democracy, securing our future. To move the economy forward, we need to create a secure financial future for all Americans so they can buy a home, send their children to college, and retire with dignity. In terms of America's families, today, Americans face critical public health emergency that are endangering the future of thousands of children, emergencies that cry out for action. Almost 17,000 Americans have been affected by the Zika virus, including almost 1,600 women, pregnant women. Thousands of lead-poisoned children in Flint are still waiting for help. Dozens of Americans are dying of opioid overdoses every day. Instead of addressing these emergency needs, Republicans are squandering their time on the floor this week to help their friends on Wall Street. And since the Republican Congress began its recess in July, over 2,000 Americans have been killed by gun violence. Instead of allowing a vote on gun violence prevention, Republicans are planning a vote to punish House Democrats led by our national icon, John Lewis, for our sit-in to demand action to save lives. We won't let that happen. Again and again, month after month, the Republican Congress put their radical obstruction ahead of meaningful action to protect the families in danger. Families across America are being abandoned by the Republican Congress that refuses to do its job. The American people need, expect, and deserve better. Together, Democrats are calling on Republicans to stop blocking help for our fellow Americans. We're calling upon the Republicans to do your job. To do your job. Do your job. Two people who are famous for getting the job done honor us with their presence today. Vice President Joe Biden, thank you for your courageous and effective leadership and for being an unsurpassed voice for America's working families in America. And now I yield to a proven fighter, a steadfast champion, a great patriot, Senate Democratic leader Harry Reid. Harry Reid. Hey, Harry.
When I was told Tuesday we were going to do this event here, I said, cool, man, cool. Poor choice of words. I'm happy to be here today with Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi, two of my friends, people I've come to know so well and appreciate so much. In the Senate, we stand in amazement. Longest recess since the 1960s, with everything to do, but we do nothing. It is a squandering of the resources of this country. Merrick Garland has been waiting almost 180 days. Everyone knows that it has put the Supreme Court in a very difficult position. 4-4 decisions all the time. Some we like, some we don't like, but it's unfair. We should have a full contingency of Supreme Court justices. Zika. Yesterday we learned that scientists have found the Zika virus goes into people's eyes, causing blindness and a lot of visual impairment. We don't know about Zika. We do not know all the problems with Zika. The president told us way back in February we had to do something, and we have done nothing except pass a bill in the Senate, 89 votes, bipartisan. It wasn't everything we wanted, but it was a good bill, $1.1 billion. We whipped it over to the House, and it went to Ryan's graveyard. Sadly, they whipped it back to us after a short period of time. And I guess the Senate Republicans had forgotten what they'd voted on just a few weeks ahead of time, because we got a bill back saying, oh, we've taken care of Zika. One problem, the 2 million women who went to Planned Parenthood last year can't go anymore. We're not going to let them. Veterans, we'll take $500 million from them because that money was only to be used to process claims, which we know doesn't create a problem. Took money from funding for Ebola. Obamacare, of course, is their pincushion of trying to punch holes in. And if that weren't enough, just to fly a flag of who they are, they wanted to make sure they could continue flying the Confederate flag on military cemeteries. That's their solution to Zika. Well, there are a lot of other issues, as we know. I'm not here to give a speech today. I'm here to introduce someone that I admire so very, very much. I served in the Senate for 32 years with Joe Biden and the Congress with Joe Biden. From the day I got there to the day I left, he was my pal. That's how those of us that have served with Joe feel. He's our pal. He's a man who understands who we are. He's one of us. I have had such wonderful times with Joe Biden. I can count those times. I don't have enough fingers or toes, but I can remember one time. We flew from Indianapolis to Reno, Nevada, and we had the most wonderful conversation. I asked Joe some questions because I'd always been curious about when he came to the Senate, and he proceeded to tell me, what a story, Joe Biden's life. And we kind of felt that when we helped grieve with him about that wonderful young man who was his son. So Joe, we're happy you're here. I don't know how many more times I am going to be able to introduce you, but I want you to always understand you've been an inspiration to me. I care a great deal about you, and I know you're going to continue making a big difference in making our world a better place. Joe Biden.
Thank you, Pat. Well, thank you, Harry, and thank you, Nancy. I'm going to be really brief because you're all feeling the heat, but so are the American people. They're feeling the heat. Nancy and Harry have made the case. Look, folks, this is some of the things we're dealing with now are bigger than partisan politics, and there's urgent national interest to act on a number of things. I'm just going to speak to three, and very briefly. You know, we're facing a simple reality. We are not doing the people's most urgent business, particularly on three items which I don't think there is really any serious debate in the nation about. Number one, Zika. It is a genuine health threat. It's a genuine health threat. It's here. It's consequential. Deal with it. Give us an up or down vote straight on Zika. Look, I've been here a long time in the Senate. I understand attaching controversial issues to important legislation, but not to national emergencies. Debate, have a vote on. Figure out how to do it on Planned Parenthood or anything else. But this is a national emergency. If you care about children, and that's the argument that a lot of our conservative friends are making about dealing with Planned Parenthood, if you care about them, wake up, man. An awful lot of people, an awful lot of babies, an awful lot of children being carried in the womb are going to end up in a very, very, very lifelong, serious situation where they're fundamentally compromised. So act. People's health, the well-being of unborn children, the health of the country at large is at stake. Act. I've been here a long time. I don't remember when there's a national emergency. We just haven't said, we'll deal with that emergency. Now, unless my Republican friends think this is not a national emergency, which I haven't heard them make that argument, maybe they do, then that's a different story. But it is a legitimate national emergency. It's a health crisis in America. So act. Number two, give Merrick Garland a vote. Look, folks, you don't have to, my friends in the Senate, you don't have to support Merrick Garland. You don't have to support the Chief Judge of the Circuit. Vote no, but give him a vote. We're setting an incredibly dangerous precedent in the institution that I love, that I served in 36 years. I'm prouder of being a senator over that time than anything I've done in my whole life. But don't set this dangerous precedent. When I was ranking member of the Judiciary Committee and/or chairman for 17 years, I'm told, to my chagrin, I presided over more Supreme Court nominations than any person in history that's living. Guess what? Every single one, every nominee was greeted by the committee. Every single nominee got a hearing. Every nominee got out of committee, even when I was chairman, even when they didn't have a majority vote under the rules to get out, and was sent to the floor where I was pilloried by some of my friends in the Democratic Party. But it is the Senate's responsibility to act up or down. You know, and the fact of the matter is, every nominee, including Anthony Kennedy, in an election year, got an up or down vote. Not much of the time, not most of the time, all the time. Every single solitary time. And there's real consequences for continuing to leave this post vacant. You report on it every day. Report on what the 4-to-4 votes mean. Report on the disparate application of federal law and the constitutional law in different parts of the country. This is not healthy. And the Constitution, clearly by implication, and I believe as a matter of fact, requires the Senate to do its duty. Vote. You don't have to vote yes, but stand and be counted. Vote. The third point I want to mention is we talk about guns. I'm not going to get into the whole, everybody knows my record on guns. I'm the guy that wrote the legislation that banned assault weapons and you know, anyway. But no, but here's the deal. I'm not even talking about that. There is an overwhelming consensus in America. If you can't fly, you shouldn't be able to buy. I mean, go out and ask your neighbor when you guys go home, when you women go home or in the press. I know you have to be completely objective about this, but ask your neighbor. Do you think someone who's put on the terrorist watch list should be able to go in and buy a gun? What are you all writing about? What are we all talking about? The lone wolf. The lone wolf was inspired by ISIS or inspired by a radical organization and or maybe directed. Who are the most likely people to do that? The people on the terrorist watch list. There's a means by which you can appeal whether you should be on that watch list. But if you're on the watch list, you shouldn't be able to walk in and buy a weapon. We've already had 3 bites out of that apple here in with lone wolves acting in devastating communities. And look, the last point I'll make, and you know, sometimes the chagrin of some of my friends, I don't think really, but sometimes I have a close personal relationship with the Republican leadership. I mean, Mitch McConnell and I work well together. I work well together with John McCain, who always is beating up on me. He's my friend. With Lindsey Graham, with Paul, the Speaker of the House. So I never tell another man or woman what their responsibility is, what their duty is, or how they should vote. But look, guys, all of you people, and many here, you travel around the world like I do. I've traveled over 1,100,000 plus miles just since being vice president. I get sent by the president because they know when I speak for him, and there's nothing lost between the cup and the lip. I can't tell you how many times the dysfunction of Washington has impacted upon our ability to get things done. I sit across the table from a world leader, friend or foe, convince them sometimes that we should make a compromise and/or they should accept our position, how to move forward in our bilateral relationships. Literally shake hands. And they'll look at me while they're shaking hands and saying, I believe you, but can you get this done? Can you get this done? They understand that the presidency is powerful, but the Congress is equally as powerful. They understand our system, and they understand without the ability of this Congress to function, it impacts on our ability to conduct foreign policy. So it's not just the dysfunction that occurs here at home. It's internationally, and it's real. I'm not exaggerating. And those of you who cover the international scene in the press, you know what I'm saying is true. You know what I'm telling you is the case. And all of my friends, particularly guys like John and others who travel around the world, are involved in national security and foreign policy, they know. We've got to end the dysfunction. And the single most significant thing we can do now is act on all of those things that are absolute consensus and fulfill your constitutional responsibility. So act on the national health emergency now, no riders. Act on no fly, no buy. There's a lot more I want to do in terms of background checks, but act now. And do your job in terms of not spreading the dysfunction of the Congress to the Supreme Court of the United States. Thank you all very much.
Thank you all very much.